Frid och fröjd vänner och välkomna till dagens uppdateringar. Vi ska börja med en andakt. Det är härligt att lyfta upp Jesus, Guds ord och få se och få honom förklarad för våra ögon så vi får en härlig drivkraft. Det står ju att vi ska bli ledda av glädje och frid framåt. Vi ska ha 2 stycken videoklipp idag. Det kommer med Joel Rosenberg och så har vi ett med Pinto som alla gillar, vet vi. Sen kommer det en news flash då i slutet här. Men vi går till Jesaja 55 här då. Hör på, eller kom, alla ni som törstar, kom hit till vattnet. Och ni som inte har pengar, kom hit och köp säd och ät. Jag kom hit och köp säd utan pengar och för intet både vin och mjölk. Varför ger ni ut pengar för det som inte är bröd och era inkomster för det som inte kan mätta? Hör på mig så ska ni få äta gott och njuta av utsökt mat. Böj ert öra hit och kom till mig. Hör så ska er själ få leva. Där står hebreiska ordet shma 2 gånger, så då är det jätteviktigt. Hör alltså. Lyd, böjer under kungen. Jag vill sluta med er ett evigt förbund. Ni ska få den trofasta nåd som jag lovade David. Se, honom har jag satt till ett vittne för folken, till en furste och till en ledare för folken. Här ska vi lägga märke till ett mycket intressant ord. Det står lechom här. Det betyder en hopsamlad nation. Och i Nya testamentet så beskrivs ju församlingen som en hopsamlad nation. Men det gör också Israel, ska vi lägga märke till. Gud, han har ju sina hemligheter. David, han hade ju varit död och begraven för länge sedan när den här profetian skrevs. Så man kan ju undra vad han menade. Det vet vi när vi går till pingstpredikan med Petrus. Då beskriver han att denna David är en bild på Messias. Alltså, halleluja, han som ropar att vi ska komma och lyssna på honom. Kom till vattnet, det är ju en bild av det som flödar ifrån klippan. Det är en bild på undervisningen genom den heliga ande, genom ordet förklarat för oss. Och då är det ju så här att vi är kallade någonstans och det är ju att gå ut ur världen, det är ju ett fängelse. Och nu vill jag förklara för er varför pengar är så, ja, inte pengar är inte ont, men kärleken till pengar är ont. Så här är det. Den här tidsålderns Gud styr över sitt hus som den starke mannen. Och han driver våra begärelser. Du tvingas alltså att slita för pengar som sedan ges för att fylla dessa starka begärelser. Där har du världen då i ett nötskal, kosmos, denna tidens ordning. Den äger Satan. Eller han styr, det är inte han som äger den, det gör ju Gud. Men han har fått makt att styra den här världen. Och begärelserna där är ju inte så bra alltså. Men så kom ju Jesus då och dog för våra synder. Och han har makt. Och han har besegrat världen, står det. Det är därför det står att kärleken till pengar är roten. Eller drivkraften till allt ont. Alltså begärelserna som föder dessa onda gärningar. Och vi vet ju att det står att girigheten är avgudadyrkan. Alltså den som är i världen och drivs av dessa starka begärelser, han har ju först och främst en drivkraft för pengar, för de pengarna ska ju då, ja, liksom mätta hans begärelser. Men det här är ju ett ekorrhjul som heter duga och sitta fast i. Det här är ju ett slaveri. För denna drivkraft då beskrivs här som tistlar och törnen eller ogräs i Bibeln. Och i liknelsen om såningsmannen så är Jesus roten och växten och frukten har då hans drivkraft i mun och i gärningar. Jesus Kristus är ju roten till Davids ett, det vill säga förebild på Guds rike. Han är den hopsamlade nationens vittne. Och det innebär ju att det är honom vi ska vittna om, men han vittnar även om oss, står ni. Det står recorder där. Och vi vet att han skriver upp allting i en bok. I en bok noteras allting. Så han vet vad som smusslas och talas om bakom stängda dörrar. Han är den första i allting. Han är alltså huvudet för denna legion då. Men säger han något annat också. Han är ledaren och han är utväljaren. Han är den som ger tjänsterna och han är den som sänder ut budbärarna och ambassadörerna i detta legion som är hans rike då, med andra ord. Jesaja 55:5 sen. Du ska kalla på ett folk som du inte känner. Ett hedna folk som inte känner dig ska skynda till dig för Herren din Guds skull, Israels heliges skull, ty han har förhärligat dig. Va? Förhärligat oss? Ja, ordet här är pavar. Och vet du vad det betyder? Det betyder att han har förklarat för dig vem han är. Och han har alltså gett församlingen ljus och kunskap om Gud så att vi kan berätta vem Gud är och vad han har gjort. Det ordet betyder förhärligat dig. Annars står det ju i Bibeln att han ger inte någon ära åt någon annan än sig själv. Så det där ska vi hålla åt sidan då. Visst är det underbart. Jesaja 55:6 sen då. Sök Herren, men han låter sig finnas. Åkalla honom, men han är nära. Den ogudaktige må överge sin väg och den orättfärdige sina tankar och vända om till Herren. Så ska han förbarma sig över honom och till vår Gud så ska han ge förlåtelse. Vi skulle också kunna säga befrielse, för det är ju det det innebär. Och så står det ju här då, nu när vi vet allt detta, då står det i Jesaja 58 så här då, 8. Mina tankar är inte era tankar, och era vägar är inte mina vägar, säger Herren. Nej, så mycket som himlen är högre än jorden, så mycket är mina vägar högre än era vägar, och mina tankar högre än era tankar. Liksom regnet och snön faller från himlen och inte återvänder dit förrän det har vattnat jorden och gjort den fruktbar och gett säd till att så och bröd till att äta. Då vet vi ju att det här handlar om uppenbarelsen, bröd och det här, vem Gud är, eller hur? Så skall det vara med ordet som utgår från min mun. Förgäves ska det inte vända tillbaka till mig, utan det ska verkat vad jag vill och utfört det vad jag har sänt ut det till. Och han sände ju sitt ord, sitt bröd och säd med oss, lyssna nu. Med glädje ska ni dra ut och i frid ska ni föras fram. Bergen och höjderna ska brista ut i jubel inför er. Alla markens träd ska klappa i händerna. Där nu törnsnår finns, ja, där man drivs av detta, va. Då skall cypresser växa upp och där nässlor stål ska myrten växa upp. Och det här ska bli till Herrens ära, ett evigt tecken som aldrig ska utplånas. Underbart. Och då förstår vi att Guds plan här, hans tankar, det är ju att ta oss ut ur detta fängelse alltså. Där Satan håller oss fångna. I vår själ och i vårt sinne. Det vill säga denna världen. Och därför repeterar vi till slut här vad jag har sagt. Den här tidsålderns Gud styr över sitt hus som den starke mannen, som driver våra begärelser. Du tvingas alltså att slita stenhårt för pengar, som du sedan måste fylla dessa begärelser med. Och det är det här hela världen sitter fast i. Därför står det att kärleken till pengar är roten eller drivkraften till allt ont. Det vill säga begärelserna och de onda gärningarna då. Det finns ju goda gärningar och då förstår vi ju det är dem han vill föra in oss i. Så denna drivkraft beskrivs i Bibeln som tistlar och törnen eller ogräs också. Med andra ord, Satan vill att du ska ha begärelserna kvar men spela kristen ändå. Det är det handlar om. Så att du har en utvändig kristendom utan invändig realitet. Och dit kom ju församlingen att gå till slut. Man ska ha ett utvändigt sken, men man ska inte förstå vem Gud är på insidan. Liknelsen om såningsmannen, där är ju Jesus roten och det som växer upp, och frukten har hans drivkraft i mun och i gärningar. Gud välsigne er så länge, så kommer det vi sa förut här, videoklippen och newsflash. Amen.
A terrorist organization without values. For several days now, I have been reporting on the activities of the IDF and Shin Bet forces at the Nasser hospital in Khan Yunis. Yesterday, these forces made a horrifying discovery when they found packets of medicines labeled with the names of Israeli hostages who had been kidnapped into the Gaza Strip on the 7th of October 2023. These medicines had been given to the Red Cross by the families of these hostages with the understanding that they would be given to the Israeli hostages. Hamas had agreed to this, and everyone understood that these medicines were needed to manage chronic health conditions that these hostages had. These were not aspirins for headaches. Rather, they were medicines that people needed to take on a regular basis as part of a doctor-prescribed program of treatment. Once again, all of this had been communicated to Hamas, and they acknowledged it and agreed to deliver the medicines to these hostages. And the Red Cross had said they would make sure Hamas followed through on this commitment. But now we know that none of these commitments were kept. This is not a surprise in the case of Hamas, but it is a big disappointment in regards to the Red Cross. I'm sure we have more to report about regarding this topic in the coming days. For now, you need to know that Hamas terrorists were using this hospital as a base for attacking Israel, and the IDF and the Shin Bet teams that entered the hospital had specific intelligence about this. Inside the hospital, the IDF found many weapons, some of which were found hidden in a vehicle used by Hamas terrorists to carry out the 7th of October attack in Israel. Also, a vehicle belonging to Kibbutz Nir Oz, which was apparently stolen, was found in the area of the hospital. All of this is a violation of the laws of armed conflict, but I don't expect to hear anything about that from those voices who constantly criticize Israel for supposed violations of these laws. Another violation of international law that Hamas committed was firing on IDF troops from inside the hospital complex. This included rocket and small arms fire from terrorists who apparently decided they didn't want to be taken alive. So they opened fire on the IDF troops and were eliminated in the resulting exchange of fire. Among those who have been arrested, it has been determined that some of them participated in the massacre on October 7th. Some are also significant activists in Hamas. As I said before, the medicines that were supposed to be given to the abductees hostages were found in the hospital, but sadly, none of the hostages themselves were found there. It's important to note that the Shin Bet actually thought there might be some remains of hostages who had died in captivity in the hospital. Finding these remains and returning them to their families for a proper burial would have at least given their families some closure. But so far, even this modest hope has been denied. That being said, the IDF continues to invest all efforts, operational and intelligence, to return our abductees home, and the IDF will not stop until this mission is completed. One last thing that is very important to note is that the IDF stated unequivocally that the entry into the hospital occurred after an early warning to stop terrorist activity in the hospital, and the scans were carried out while making sure to continue the ongoing management of the hospital without harming the patients and the medical staff, and in accordance with the values of the IDF and international law. I will ask you once again to help us spread the truth about this situation by sharing this video on social media, but also send a link to your friends, to the officials in your communities, so that everyone would know what is going on in Israel and pray for the situation. Even tonight, the fighters of the Commando Formation continue to operate in the Nasser hospital and in the areas adjacent to it. This is a large and complicated complex, and it also includes a vast underground network of terror tunnels. The Paratrooper Brigade and the Nachal Brigade are also hard at work in the area, clearing tunnels, eliminating terrorists, and confiscating enormous stocks of weapons and ammunition meant to be used against Israelis. The Air Force has also been in action to support the ground forces, and working together as a team, they have successfully carried out many operations that have eroded Hamas's operational capabilities. In Judea and Samaria, IDF forces and an undercover unit of the border police attempted to arrest a wanted man in Tulkarem, but this man and his bodyguard decided to fire on the troops coming to arrest them, and he was killed in the exchange of fire. Elsewhere, another senior Hamas official, Ahmed Ofi, was arrested. This operation also involved an exchange of fire with some of his bodyguards, and one of them was neutralized before Ofi surrendered and allowed himself to be taken into custody. An IDF soldier was also hit and seriously wounded in the exchanges of fire. This man was involved in shooting attacks against IDF forces and Israeli communities, and is also suspected of being involved in the murder of Tulkarem residents who are suspected of collaborating with Israeli security forces. In the city of Ramallah, another senior Hamas operative was arrested, while two others were arrested in Nablus. All of these arrested suspects have been interrogated, and the information they provided to the Shin Bet will be used to take the next steps in dismantling Hamas's terrorist infrastructure in Judea and Samaria. This is vital, important work because the threats to Israel from Islamic terrorism have grown to enormous proportions in recent years. Israel is at war with Hamas and any terrorist organization that threatens the citizens of our country. Together, we will defeat this evil. I want to conclude by saluting a hero of Israel who fell defending the country, Sergeant Simon Shlomov, 20 years of age, from Kiryat Bialik, a fighter in the Parachute Brigade. He was killed yesterday in the battle in the southern part of the Gaza Strip. Once again, I will ask all of you to continue spreading the truth with us, share and follow us, and don't forget to pray for the peace of Israel and the peace of Jerusalem.
But first, we're going inside an armored personnel carrier to take an hour-and-a-half drive into the heart of the battle. All right, we're inside the APC. We're taking about an hour and a half, hour and 15-minute drive. This is gonna be bumpy and it's gonna be pretty intense as we go in. This is my first time ever into Gaza. Not only since this war began, I've never thought as a Jewish person named Joel Rosenberg I should ever be in Gaza. I know Christian ministry leaders who've gone in, pastors and others, prior to Hamas taking control and even afterwards. But this is gonna be a pretty intense trip. I'm glad you're along for the ride. I'm with my colleague, Chris Mitchell from Christian Broadcasting Network, CBN, and we'll keep you posted as we go.
Israeli officials say they've now captured, killed, or severely wounded upwards of 75% of the Hamas terrorist army in Gaza. They believe victory is getting close, but it's been a brutal battle every step of the way.
All right, we've just gotten out of the armored personnel carrier. We are in Khan Yunis. We are looking at devastation that I can only describe as apocalyptic. If you just look around, there are a few buildings still standing, but look at this building right behind you, or the camera, but right behind me now. And we've seen this all the way through. And again, if you're just looking at the destruction, it is almost complete. I wouldn't, obviously there are buildings standing, but what Hamas has done not only to Israel, but by continuing to fight, continuing to attack, it has invited this level of apocalyptic destruction. And I think one of the questions now is, where do we go from here?
General Dan Goldfuss is responsible for defeating Hamas in Khan Yunis.
We've entered Khan Yunis, and as you emerged out of the armored vehicles, you can see we're in a neighborhood just around us. And what you can see in front of you over here is one of many tunnels that are underground in each and every one of these neighborhoods. What you can see here is actually that in an ordinary neighborhood, there's a shaft going down this tunnel that we're going to go into. And it's going to go on and on and on. And in this tunnel over here, the kidnapped civilians, women, children, elderly people were taken in from the 7th of October. I remind you, by the 7th of October, Israel was under attack. I failed to defend my people. As a general, we were under attack by a savage, unhuman organization or entity such as Hamas. We entered Israel, attacked the villages, raped, burned, murdered, slaughtered civilians. Some of them were taken in as trophies, just as trophies, taken into these tunnels, into this tunnel, and such as these tunnels, this ordinary neighborhood, is a shaft in every place you can find. There's a shaft in the kindergarten, there's a shaft in the school, there's a shaft in the mosques, there's a shaft in the supermarket. Wherever you go, there's a shaft going down into the underground tunnels and underground world of this unhumane entity of Hamas.
We're ready to go. We're going into a terror tunnel where hostages, remnants or evidences of at least 3 hostages were there. Also, Hamas commanders hid in here, and then the general told us their headquarters were turned into cages to keep hostages. Let's go in. You can still hear artillery fighting is going on, machine gun fire all throughout this area. This is an extensive Hamas not just tunnel, but like I said, command center. And we're following Brigadier General Dan Goldfuss deep inside Khan Yunis. Okay, watch your step and keep going. Okay. You can see here that this was entirely wired with not just electricity, but also communications cables. It's humid in here, and we're making a turn, narrow and short. As we continue forward, you look at the enormous amount of construction effort that was made to build these tunnels so that terrorists could escape and pop up anywhere to attack Israelis as we came in here. And of course, control the civilian population.
Okay. All right. What you can see here is the extension of the guard compound, the living room, the kitchen that they have over here. None of this is ours. It's all the Hamas guards in this compound over here. So this is the guard compound. We're going on now to the next compound. We will see the cages and we'll see how it's built. But again, look at the tiles, electricity, time, effort, money that was put in to build this. We're now at the moment approximately 15 meters underground. We're going deeper and deeper.
How many miles of tunnels in Khan Yunis?
Many miles. But I think that the amount of underground tunnels that there are is not of importance. What is important is the different usage of the tunnels in the different areas. So you have the tactical tunnels, which are used by the forces, the Hamas terrorists at the fighting force at the front. And then you have these strategic tunnels at the back. So these strategic tunnels have an end.
This is a strategic tunnel?
For sure. Yeah. You can see, just look how the ceiling goes high. This is still, remember the ceiling. Look at the next compound at the ceiling and have the magnitude of how big it is. All right, let's go on. Is everybody with us? Okay, perfect. So we've just entered the main compound over here. As you saw, we went on and on and on and on, curving around, going all the way down. We're approximately about 25 meters underground at the moment. You can see, like I said, you see the ceiling go up, the underground tunnel bigger and bigger. I want to take you through now. I want to take you through the different compounds within this one big compound. We went through the guards. Now we're entering the main compound. So please come with me into the kitchen.
What's interesting about this kitchen is there's no way that this was designed for Israeli hostages, for kidnapped Israelis. You see the tile work. This is designed to make it feel at home for Hamas leaders as they live underground. And you can see how quickly Hamas leaders must have left as the IDF came in, because there's still food and drink and dishes all here. It shows just how quickly the IDF moved in and how quickly Hamas leaders had to flee.
We go in here. Please come in here. In this way. Look at the magnitude of this compound over here. This is a bedroom. It's a bedroom. Behind this compound, this bedroom over here, you can see the tiles, the electricity, the lights.
This is a chamber where senior Hamas leaders live. By the design, by the tile work, by the bed frames that you should see that are not just rugs on the floor or mattress. This is actually has bed frames. This means this was a higher standard of living, meaning senior Hamas leaders were here. The general told us he believes Yahya Sinwar, the head of Hamas, very likely was staying here. But it is extraordinary for me. I will just tell you, as an Israeli, as an American, as an evangelical, to actually be not only in a Hamas terror tunnel, but in the lair of Yahya Sinwar and the Hamas leadership.
If people like Sinwar would have spent time here?
I do. I do.
What makes you say that?
I just understand how the underground compounds today, I understand how the underground compounds are spread out. And like I said to you, when you asked me, are we going to get them? And I said, we'll get them. We understand better and better how the underground compound is. We're gaining ground faster and faster, more efficient by maneuvering under and upper ground. And we're gaining. And we're taking these compounds every day. But you have to understand, time is a factor. And the underground maneuver isn't as fast as the overground maneuver. And things are different. And sometimes you go faster underground, sometimes you go faster overground, but you're trying to make it simultaneously and connected. That's why it's taking time. Not only because of that, but to flush out the enemy from the time and effort that they've spent building here. Years and years and years. This is not a 2-year project. This is years of building. This is years of planning. So if anybody has a question, how long do I think the 7th of October was planned? For many years. The intentions were there. For many years. The plans were in progress. For many years, they planned how to attack women and children in the villages. That's what they tried to do.
Here in Gaza, where every day is a battle, our team is on the ground, working hard to make.
So in the endless maze of the underground in Khan Yunis, you can see the different munition that we encountered in these underground tunnels. You can see grenades. This is a bomb. It's called we call it a sacrifice bomb. This is a bomb that they run and they stick on the tank or the armored vehicle, and it will try to blow up the tank with the armored vehicle. That one over there is the Yasin 105. That is the RPG, modified RPG, which is a more explosive RPG, which they're firing at our tanks. I think the volume of the weapon, maybe that was an operational surprise. The amount of weapons which you find in every house, every building you move into, and you find amounts of weapons, which that was maybe an operational surprise. Not a basic surprise, because when you go into war, you're ready to be attacked. But the amount that we found, which they left behind, running away.
Just to be clear, you mean inside these tunnels, of course you expect weapons, but in each and every single house, you didn't expect that amount.
In the tunnels and in the houses. You'd expect that you wouldn't find, I don't know, maybe in a kindergarten, you wouldn't find weapons. So you go in a kindergarten, you find, dozens of RPG. And then you go into a school. You go into a UN school and you find dozens of mortars and IEDs. And it's just everywhere. And you want to go into a mosque and you want to say, hey, the mosque is out of the game. But it's not. There's shafts going down from the mosque, down underground, and in the mosque you find mortars, RPGs, IEDs, all kinds of different other grenades and other weaponized or weaponry that were there. And you say, there's just in every corner.
The entire Gaza Strip was weaponized.
It's just unbelievable. It's just unbelievable. So yes, that was an operational surprise. The amount, the magnitude of how many weapons at every corner.
What have you learned about Yahya Sinwar over the last 4 months, and can you give us a profile of who this man is?
All I can say about Yahya Sinwar is that he's a coward. And he's dug himself in underground, and he's on the go, trying to save his own skin. So all I can say is I think he's a coward. He's hiding underground, hiding and using the civilians to protect him.
How would you describe how difficult militarily this is to fight up above ground and below the ground? Has this ever been done?
This has never been done, as far as I know, in the history of the world, of the military of the world. It's the first time. We are living it day in, day out, learning day in, day out, making mistakes, moving back, moving again, synchronizing between over, top, down, under, trying to maneuver, trying to have an effect on each other, moving quickly underground, slowing down, flanking, underground and overground, and it's all connected with each other. It's complex, it's a challenge, but as the IDF has always done, and the 98th Division has always done, we meet that challenge. And we put our minds together to meet that challenge. And the challenge is ongoing, and our mission is to dismantle the Hamas, bring back our kidnapped, and bring security to the state of Israel.
Did you specifically have to, your forces have to fight into this tunnel, or by the time you got here, had Hamas fled?
We fought in the tunnels, not only one tunnel, in the tunnels, we fought in the tunnels, we fought to take ground underground, and yeah, that's part of what we did, and that's part of the difficulty.
So we're here inside one of the actual caged areas where at least 12 Israeli hostages were held. 3 were released, but now they've been moved to some other place, and the hunt continues.
So, if anybody in the world needs evidence for the horrific actions that the terror entity Hamas has done, you're in it. You're in this evidence.
Can you describe what's above us right now?
Above us is 25 meters of ground, gravel, houses. We've been walking and walking and walking and walking. We've changed the neighborhood. We're in a different neighborhood that we entered. You'll have the ability to go back. I would say somewhat doubtful privilege of walking back through the tunnels all the way out to emerge to the upper world. And this is where the hostages were held.
How many hostages were held in this cell?
Manatun. So at least 12 hostages were held here. At least 12.
So we only identified the 3 that were held in here? That's why we're saying 3 names?
I'm saying 3 were released from here.
I see.
Okay? I'm not giving any other names. Do you understand why? Yes.
Could you describe, to the benefit of people who are not here, what does it feel like to stand in this room?
Yeah, I think I should take a picture of you all and send it out, because you're all sweating and breathing heavily in the heavily humid and hot environment that we're in. So this humid and hot environment that we're in is the same environment that the kidnapped civilians, women and children were held inside in this compound. We'll go into the compound, okay? You can see, if you look at the bars over here, you can see this is a relatively new bars, but they thought of everything, right? Why do I say it's new? I don't know, but I think it evolved throughout the maneuver, throughout the war. It has changed. And I think that we had taken ground and they had to flee to another area. Maybe during the ceasefire. So if anybody has a doubt about taking advantage of the ceasefire for moving the kidnapped from one place to another, creating new horrific compounds underground and cages underground, you can see it over here. So let's go through here. We'll go in here to the back tunnel. So if you're held in here and you need to go to the toilet, this is the way we go.
So now we're in a bathroom facility that's connected to that caged facility. But when you look at this bathroom and the tile work, this wasn't done for hostages. This was done for senior Hamas commanders, and the cages were added later. And it's just, it's terrifying to think with this heat and this humidity, no way to get out, and maybe not even hope. That's the question. Are these hostages kidnapped? Do they have hope of being released? Right?
var en syndare, träl i världen, i många laster jag bunden var. Men Jesus stannade mig på färden och gav mig frälsning så underbar. Kan hända tror du att det är farligt att ge sig helt till vår Herre kär? Nej, halleluja, det är så saligt att vandra vägen med Jesus här. I lydnad för det Guds ord jag hörde, jag gick med glädje vid dopets grav. Han mig från döden till livet förde, jag simma får i Guds nåd har. Kan hända tror du att det är farligt att ge sig helt till vår Herre kär? Nej, halleluja, vad det är saligt att vandra vägen med Jesus här. Då jag från graven uppstod till livet, jag mottog dopet i andens eld. Han härlig kraft för din svaga givit, som giver seger, ja mycket mer. Kan hända tror du att det är farligt att ge sig helt till vår Herre kär? Nej, halleluja, vad det är saligt att vandra vägen med Jesus här. Jag är ej mera en träl i världen, nu är jag fri och har barnaskap. Guds nåd och godhet är med på färden, med sång och jubel jag hem och går. Kan hända tror du att det är farligt att ge sig helt till vår Herre kär? Nej, halleluja, vad det är saligt att vandra vägen med Jesus här. Går vägen upp till ljusa höjder, om den går ner i den djupa dal, snart hela världen för mig försvinner, jag går förlöst in i himlens sal. Kan hända tror du att det är farligt att vandra helt med vår Jesus kär? Nej, halleluja, vad det är saligt att vandra vägen med Jesus här. Kan hända tror du att det är farligt att ge sig helt till vår Herre kär? Nej, halleluja, vad det är saligt att vandra vägen med Jesus här.